My name is Maciej Zuziak, and today I will have the pleasure to deliver our work on the data collaboratives with the use of decentralized learning, which also constitutes an interdisciplinary perspective on data governance. I hope that this rather brief talk will pique your interest, as generally this is a topic that is rising in popularity across different sectors of industry and academia. And given the current rise of generative model that made us question the source of our training data that we feed into our training algorithms, this is something that the machine community and data science community has also picked as a let's say fruitful and valid research area. Although I won't say that the root initiative that has sparked our research comes from European Union and the current discussion on data governance that is being held inside the European Commission, the problems that I describe and the solutions that I also will briefly present during that talk, the solutions that we have placed in the final paper, they are not confined to the territory of European Union. They are somehow universal and they are applicable to the problem that we are facing now. So the problem of obtaining high quality data for the sake of fostering either the research on machine learning or perhaps creating products on the state-of-the-art technologies that are already available. And in the European Union itself, we have shifted from the data property to data access and data sharing concepts. And I think that this is a universal process because maybe some years ago, the community across the globe has still considered the conception of selling, buying data for the sake of running the experiments, for the sake of training models. But this raises rather large ethical concerns. That is the first thing. And secondly, this would implode the protection frame, not only on the territory of European Union, but also in other territories. So the concept is being currently abandoned, and we are more and more interested in creating some alternative data governance schemas. One that will allow for data sharing, for making distributed analytics, for making distributed model training, but generally retaining a control and not using that data as a commodity, although the final product of our inference can generate some, for example, market value. And this is where we have shifted towards the notion of commons that classically is made from three elements: resource, a community that has access and take care of the resource, and the collective action of creating, maintaining, and governing the common. And when we frame the data as a data management problem as a common, we can then turn to Ostrom principles of self-governance that was developed in relation to natural resources, but are perhaps even more suitable in the context of the data governance. And we have used those 8 principles to define our own mild formalization on how we can use the state-of-the-art technology to enforce alternative data governance. And in line with that, we have introduced 4 essential principles. Firstly, we don't want centralized data storage. We want to get rid of that. We want decentralized data storage that can be now used using distributed analytics or different methods of distributed machine learning that are now being researched and promoted all across the industry. We want shared model governance, so we want all actors that engage in the commons to be able to share the model, share the benefits of the model, and share the utility that comes from that model. We want universality, so we want this data collaborative schema, this data collaborative definition to be as abstract as possible, so it fits into many real-life implementations. We don't want to constrain any possible implementation just by imposing too rigid formalization of the concept. And then, of course, there is a minimal utility that we have defined as collaborative computation. So generally, we are still in the domain of machine learning and data analytics. We are creating that data collaborative because we have different actors interested in training one model or performing one or more analytical operations across the whole collaborative. So without the ability to do that, we cannot consider something a data collaborative. And here is the perhaps something that I also want to highlight, that the basic definition of collaborative computation is something that was defined in a way that is as open and as abstract as possible. So generally, the only prerequisite here is that we have a selected number of participants in the collaborative. Each of them should be able to run some analytical operation, and then we should have a method to gather those operations and either aggregate them or distribute them across all the actors of the data collaborative. And one can see data collaborative as a kind of extension of the currently available methods for distributed learning, and I will use those last 2 minutes to just give an overview of the example, of the exemplary case, when we have different hospitals in the network. Some central orchestration node deployed by a third party is sending propositions to those clients across the network. Client can join or refuse the proposition. If the client accepts the proposition, then I will make the example more simpler by saying that we are using federated learning and we are delivering the weights to the clients that have accepted the proposition. And now we are able to train the models. And after that, using some pre-chosen algorithm, for example, federated aggregation, the simplest vanilla case, those actors that participate in the collaboration are in possession of one model that was learned on their data without the direct sharing. And by training this model, we have now established a collaborative, and we can further enforce the guarantee schema, for example, for model recreation or model of if we want to discard the model. This could be done by the popular vote of all the members of the collaborative. And those are some chosen references. And while, of course, in 10 minutes overview of the whole concept is rather difficult, I highly encourage to take a look at the final paper and see the expansion of the idea, as especially on the technical side, it is much more clearly explained there in the original paper. And I wanted to thank you all for hosting me today and for giving me opportunity to deliver this rather brief talk on this very interesting concept. Once again, thank you very much.